mind if I take my time to get the frame right. I'm working all night for the light. When I take back what I made back. I don't want to be the needle in a haystack. I don't want to be the one that'll run.
Getting on Rhythm and Flow was a goal of mine from this time the first season aired. Rhythm and Flow focused on these areas that I love so much. I definitely knew I wanted to do the show back in 2019. The feedback that I've received from the world is obviously overwhelmingly positive, and it's overwhelmingly endearing, and I feel like people are embracing me for who I am just as much as they embrace me for what I do. But specifically, Polynesians, Micronesians, Melanesians from every corner of the world have found their way into my inbox. They have found their way into the commentary sections of every social media platform, and it's all love. And you know what's really funny is that I talked about being a Pacific Islander extensively on the show, but you know, the show is 6 weeks of footage being crammed into 10 hours, right? So they chose the storylines that they chose. And I knew in the back of my mind, I've been a Pacific Islander my whole life. I know this story is hard to connect to if you don't know it, if you have no connection to it, if you're just an editor from the United States and you have no connection to the importance and the significance of Pacific Islanders in the world, why would you? You know what I'm saying? And I knew that before I went in. So the hats and the pins, and I made sure that the back of my head, I wasn't gonna get my head blasted until after the show. And I thought about it like, man, you know what they can't do? They can't cut out the back of my head. They can't cut out, you know, the artwork that's on my hats. They can't cut out the pins that are on my chest. I know that there's ways I can communicate to my people in the world and tell them I'm one of you and I'm here with you, and I'm not just here by myself, I'm here with my village. I did it through these mediums, right? I say all of that to say it worked, okay? So people from back home in Guam, from Samoa, Tonga, Hawaii, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, New Zealand, Australia, everywhere. And then of course the folks here in the States from the Bay Area, Utah, LA, Hawaii, they've all reached out, and it's like, we don't care if you're a Chamorro or, you know, if you're not Samoan, you're not Tongan, you're one of us. I feel like I was only up there trying to be what I've always dreamed of seeing. I've always wanted somebody in hip hop to look like me and my cousins and be covered in my tattoos and say words that only me and my homeboys know. I would say to all the artists, specifically the hip hop artists on Guam, is use what feels like a disadvantage as your advantage. To the artists on Guam, you have stories that no one else in the world has. And hip hop is an art form where we tell our stories. You don't need to tell the Compton story. You don't need to tell the Long Beach story. You need to tell the Guam story. And I don't even know that story. So as a fan, if an artist got on a record, like my boy Jed, shout out to Jed, if an artist gets on a record and tells me something I've never heard before, I'm immediately a fan, which I was immediately a fan of him, right? And there's so many other artists on Guam that I love. Use those things that are perceivably a disadvantage as your weapon. And then more importantly, I've said this many times and I'll continue to say, as Pacific Islanders, it is in our DNA to travel and traverse into places we've never been before. And this is what we do. This is how we ended up on Guam. This is how we ended up all over the world, because we were not afraid to voyage into places that seemed impossible to voyage into. And as artists, we have tools at our fingertips. Even if you're on Guam and the internet, it's a powerful, powerful, powerful tool. Trust who you are. Trust your story. Tell your story. Tell it over and over and over again. And eventually, people will begin to listen. I promise. I promise. Eventually, people will listen. The final thing I would say, specifically to my people on Guam, is thank you. Like, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for accepting me, even though I feel so far away and I feel so distant. Everyone who's reached out in the DMs, everyone who sent emails, who has messaged me on Facebook, I see it all. And when the Guam flags are spammed all in the messages, I see it. And when I find out you're my cousin's auntie's cousin, I see you, you are my family, and I'm grateful that you're grateful. And that is a reciprocated feeling. The gratitude is at an all-time high to all the people of Guam, Chamorro or not. I think that you guys give me a sense of home. even from thousands of miles away. And this is something that we all long for in the pursuit of happiness. So thank you for loving me.
The Culture Club is brought to you by Pepsi, That's What I Like, and Valley of the Laddie, where we celebrate our culture every day.